Hello friends. I've decided today that I really want to open up a bit more about my personal journey with chronic illness. For me, this has really been the training ground that has taught me the things that I know about physical health, about mental health, and I want to just take you a bit deeper and show you the circumstances that I went through to come to this place. Whether you're someone that's going through a chronic illness yourself, I pray that this can provide comfort for you and be a blessing, or whether you're someone that just wants to improve the quality of your health. I trust that you're being blessed by the channel already, and there's so much more that I want to share. But today I want to show you a bit more about what I've gone through personally. Going through chronic illness is so... You can't even put it into words. I can't find a word for it. I've gone through so much, and there's so much depth and detail that I'd love to communicate. But in this video, I'm just going to give you a very quick overview. And in future videos, I can go into more detail about specific things. Basically, long story short, going back 5 years ago in the lead up, I'd been doing so much. I was working 4 days a week. I was studying Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesdays. I was helping at my church or attending on Wednesday nights, Friday nights and Sundays. I was also trading the financial markets in between all of this, and I wouldn't allow myself to take any break at all. I just felt that I just had to be productive, and I had to do more and more and achieve more and more and just be the best that I could. And a lot of people that get sick have this personality type. I didn't really realize that anything was seriously wrong. I mean, I felt like a zombie. I felt worn out, but I thought I'm just tired, and you just push through these things. But it was one day at the start of 2015 when I was picking up my sister from the airport, and I was walking down the terminal, and I looked at a magazine, and everything was sort of blurry. I was mixing up letters, and I was just wondering what was going on. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had a panic attack, which I'd never had before in my life. And I thought I was maybe having a heart attack or something. And it was so scary. And long story short, following this, my body just felt like it just lost a bunch of gears. I just didn't have the capacity. It didn't feel the same as it felt before. And I had to take a period of time off of work. I tried reduced hours, and that didn't work. So I ended up taking a 6-month period off of work, and during this time I was still able to do a whole lot of things, thankfully, like go for my walks, climb up hills, look at screens and stuff. My body didn't quite feel right, but over a 6-month period I thought that I'd recovered fully. It just felt really great again after that. I didn't realise, as a lot of people with chronic illness didn't realise, that my body wasn't right, and I went straight back into work. I went straight back into, I was studying. I started to pick up trading the markets again, and I was in a relationship too at that point. And I basically crashed again. This time I crashed, I went to a lower level than I had been before. And work was really great. They said to me, take the months off over summer. I'd crashed out in October, and they said take off until March. So I had a good 6 months or so, and during this time I began to build up again, but it was much slower than the first time. Like, I knew my body had dipped to a lower level. Following that, I got back to work half days a week, and they set me up from home as well for 2 days, back at work for 2 days. And I did this for about 3-4 months, and I was okay, but I would hit a limit after about 3 hours of work. I just couldn't do any more. But still, I hadn't learnt the lessons, and in my private time I was still working on different things, and my relationship was taking up energy as well, and I started to get sick. I was getting cold after cold, and long story short, I crashed out again. But this time when I crashed out, it was far worse than the other times. And I'm just going to really skim over this period of time over the next 6 or so months, just still trying to do the right things to get better, but I just couldn't look at screens anymore. They impacted me so much, even looking at screens. I couldn't go many places at all. I couldn't go for walks up the hills anymore. and my body just felt so much worse. At the start of 2017, because they'd put me on a medication because they said you've got anxiety, whereas I knew that I didn't. It was because of the burnout, but I took their word for it and thought it could help. They pulled me off it suddenly, and not only was I in such a low place at the start of 2017 physically, but taking me off that, it wasn't too bad initially, but as I'd read later on, 3 to 4 months down the track, it stopped me from sleeping. My body went into post-acute withdrawal symptoms, and my body was so bad. And then, for the first time in my life, my mind just started to go out of control, and I was confined to a bed pretty much for the next 2 months. My sleep went down to 3 or 4 hours a night. Probably less than that, to be honest, and then it culminated in a week where my sleep was 1 hour a night, and I actually thought I was dying in my body. I was so anxious to do anything, to even step out the front door, to even sit up straight from my bed, and this was a horrific low of chronic illness. I basically had to lie there, and then following that, when I got out of the bed, sit there and not do anything. I couldn't look at screens, I couldn't read a book, I couldn't hold a conversation with people. And this lasted for another probably 2 years. And in that time, my relationship, my engagement broke up, and that caused me more enormous emotional turmoil. Being stuck in home, trapped in the prison of my body while that happened. On top of what I was already experiencing. It's not like I could pick up a phone and call anyone. I was thankful that I have supportive parents through that journey. And then fast forwarding to the start of 2019, a friend of mine got in touch with me, heard that I was sick. She was also sick, saw a doctor in Sydney and advised that I go and see him. I was petrified to even travel there because of how bad my body was, and when I got there I was lying down for 48 hours straight, and the doctor said that he hadn't got anyone in such a worse condition when I got to the office. And basically I was tested and I was diagnosed with a Lyme-like condition. You can't say Lyme disease in Australia because there's a lot of political agendas behind all of this. It's very controversial, and general practitioners won't recognise this. Anyway, I went to Sydney for 3 weeks for expensive alternative treatments. Saw the bacteria in my blood. They cleaned out a bunch of the bacteria and co-infections as well that I'd had. My blood results were much better. In another video, I'm going to post this all in detail and show people exactly the pictures and the numbers as well. And even though my blood was cleared up and it gave me a real hope for the first time in a while, my body still was so conditioned to the low level of living, and I just had to play catch up. So I had to do the right things, continue to do the right things day after day after day after day. But slowly saw improvement with the right foods, with the right mental techniques, with the right staying off of stimulation and electronics as much as I could. I went back to Sydney 6 months later for another week of treatment, and that just gave me another whole boost again. And that took me to August 2019. So that's about 9 months ago. And then since then, I started to see just improvement going up and up and up. And getting back to the place of being able to look at screens more and more, being able to work on this channel, being able to go for 45-minute walks or longer, being able to catch up with friends, being able to do things. But you could imagine during this time of not being able to do much at all, having emotional turmoil while you're forced to just sit still, and you've got no purpose, you've got no point of getting up for the day because you can't do anything. The lessons that you learn mentally, the habits that you learn, and the things that you're forced to put into place physically in terms of diet and other things to get better, is just something that is a really helpful life lesson going forward and can be beneficial to you also. So I'm so grateful for the place I'm at now compared to where I was, and I see improvement all the time, which is great. That's all I want to discuss today, but I just want to tell you that this is an overview of my story. There's so much more depth, but I'm really excited to share with you the lessons that I've learnt, both mentally and physically. And right now, I've developed such a calm mind that it's just so amazing. I can't believe it myself. And my habits and my diet have changed so much. I've learnt to integrate so many things, and these can be a benefit to you no matter where you're at. So yeah, that's all I just wanted to touch on today. And I just wanted to open up a bit more so people can see where I've come from in my journey. If you're someone who is suffering with chronic illness, feel free to send a message in the comment section with any questions you have at all. And if you're just someone else that's just looking for more health tips, and you have any recommendations of what you'd like me to actually discuss, I'm more than happy to consider those also. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. It is a very personal story, and there will be even greater depth that I'm going to share with you of some of the deepest, darkest moments I've experienced and what I've learned through them. May you have a fantastic day today, friends, and I wish you good health and take care. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos. Feel free to leave any comments or questions below, and don't forget to share with your friends.